There are over 5,000 homeless souls in this city alone. So it is Philip's wish to reach each and every one of them with a comforting gesture, a blanket.
So this is an amazing message for people because it's all about giving, right? And what a needed thing as Christians and really anyone. But, the concept of giving, we're in our safe worlds and we don't think about that. And so can both of you kind of talk about that? And maybe Cindy goes first or.
Giving? That's something that I kind of live by all year long. It's not just during the Christmas season. Philip's Wish runs all year long. All year long. We do water drives during the summer. I have a food pantry in my garage. I work out of my home, so that makes it easy. And there's no overhead. We don't have any salary employees. So it makes it really special to me that, we don't have to pay people to do things or have any big advertising. It's just our overhead is very, very minimal, which is great. But yeah, it's something we do all year long. And I've been doing it for 20 years. So it's my heart.
Yeah. Eamon, what about for you in this concept in this movie about giving to others?
Yeah, I mean, it's the film is really about selflessness in many ways. When life serves you lemons, you make lemonade out of it. And in Cindy's case, it's a true story. And if this were a fictional film, it would be one thing. But the fact that it is a true story, the idea that one person, even a small kid, a 10-year-old kid, in real life, I guess Philip was 5.5 when all this started. The innocence of a child seeing the world in a way, and it can be contagious. And in the film, he's wearing yellow and he's like this flame that keeps lit through the darkness, and the idea of seeing the world not as your world, but you're part of this world, and what you do can ricochet and be part of a domino effect, and it can influence people and affect people. And we're really lucky to have this story to tell, Cindy and Philip and what they've gone through and what they've turned it into.
Cindy, for you, how was this experience from the beginning when they said we want to make a movie, or what was the process of that?
Well, actually, Philip had a wish, and this wish just kept beating me up with this wish. So finally, I just wrote a letter and telling our story. And this was many years ago. And I stood on the streets of downtown Fort Worth and passed out over 1,000 copies of this story. People were just walking by, and I would just say, take this, take this, take this, take this. So I'm pretty shy, so I wasn't going to go into detail. It was just like, take it. And a reporter actually got one of them, and he called us and had us come in and do a segment on his TV show. It's a Fort Worth based television show, and a screenwriter saw it, and he gave me a call and he said, I'd like to write a screenplay. And I didn't really think much about it. I thought, okay, whatever. And then he called me the next day and wanted to meet for coffee. So I met him for coffee, and he says, I really want to write this. And so I said, okay. And he wrote the screenplay, and here we are today.
And then Eamon, for you, getting along the process, what was this that stood out to you?
The universality of it, it's something we can all take for granted how good we have it until it's all taken away. And there's two elements of the film. One is the plight of the homeless, but also for me, this movie is not about blankets. It's called 5,000 Blankets, but it's not about blankets. It's about human connection. across social class, across there are no boundaries, to the impact you can have if you see past the barriers of, when you pass someone who's homeless on the street, you make a quick judgment, or they're invisible people, but they're all people with their own life stories. Some have struggled economically, some have struggled with mental health issues, some have struggled with PTSD. Everybody has a story, and when you get to know the people, as we kind of try to portray in the film, you see the range of struggles. And really, it's about making a small difference. It's not about handing a blanket. It's about seeing someone for who they are for a moment and humanizing the people behind the faces,
And Eamon, I think you did a good job with displaying mental health, because that's a tricky thing to do, right? Because it's an internal thing. So it's hard to show it, because movies are all visual. So I wonder what that process was, or how, you did a great job on it.
Really, thank you. I really appreciate that, because it was tricky, because the movie doesn't try to say here's exactly what schizophrenia is, or medicalize it, or anything like that. It just tries to paint the emotion, right? What Bobby, played by Rob Mays, who plays Anna Camp's husband, Anna Camp playing Cindy. He did his own research, and he asked a lot of questions when he talked to Cindy and talked to Larry and Matt, the writers. And he really exhibited a lot of the internal things, and without using dialogue, when we go on the journey with him, we try to cinematically capture the confusion, his sense. It's very subjective in his point of view, and musically there's this kind of darkness that hovers around him that is his own internal struggle. I think cinematically it's always way more interesting to show things visually and musically rather than depict them through dialogue. And when you have dialogue, you use it to kind of give the subtext. You don't say everything on the nose. And I think in this case, the opportunity was to show his struggle without ever really having him say much.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what you want to do, because staying it on the nose, is assuming that the audience isn't smart, but the audience is smart, and they're understanding what's happening with how you guys have portrayed it. So that was good.
Yeah, and I think that way about the whole film. When Sony had this faith-based script, when I read the script, I was like, well, I hope it's not a didactic, preachy script. And then I started reading it, and it was a page turner, and it was like, oh, it's actually very respectful to the viewer. It doesn't hit you over the head with, it's just honest to the human struggle that they're experiencing.
Well, and everybody should think about these things, right? Like, all types of people should think about how they can help others that are less fortunate, or if they have someone in their family that has mental health issues, right? I mean, everybody's connected to someone or connected to the story in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Cindy, for you, have you gotten to see the final edition of the film, and how is that kind of experience?
Has she? How many times have you seen it?
I've watched it 42 times trying to pick it apart. And I cannot pick it apart. I have tried, and I can't, because it's so raw and so real. And I'm just so extremely humbled and proud of how they pull, from the actors to the director. He is amazing, and so passionate about what he does. The whole team was so passionate. And you could feel the love. It was crazy, because when I was on set, I was really nervous, because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be around all these big Hollywood stars, and I'm scared to death. And they didn't make me feel that way at all. They brought me in and made me feel comfortable, and they loved on me, and they they made me feel more human, because I'm kind of an introvert, so to speak. You wouldn't think so. But when I'm with my people, I call them my people, my friends, my homeless friends. I have a way of, I don't think it's me. I think it's God working through me. I have a way of sitting there and just listening to their stories. And when you listen, you learn, which I think is the greatest thing. You learn what these people actually need by just listening. And you take that whisper that comes through your spirit, so to speak, and you automatically know what they need. If they need just that human contact or the human touch, or, and they need other things. I mean, everybody needs stuff to survive, as far as food and substance and, hygiene and they can't always get that on the streets because people stereotype them, and it's heartbreaking to me.
Yeah. It showed also that you're very strong. You're an amazing mom. And so I just want to, commend you on that. The movie really showed that you were protecting your son and you were moving forward and you were trying to keep the family together no matter what. Is there a follow-up to what happened with your husband, or, has he been able to have more help, or?
He still struggles to this day. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. You're you've done amazing things.
I think we all do amazing things in our own little ways. It's kind of like, I think God speaks to all of us, and we all have a purpose. Some of them, they're not always the same, just like you have your purpose right now.
Yeah.
And your passion that you carry. You know what I mean? We all carry passion and purpose, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
And for you, what would you hope that, people get out of if they take away one thing, what would you hope they take away from your story?
Well, I hope that the people that have family members that struggle with this are no longer ashamed, and they can get out and they can talk about it. And because it can be very, very, very depressing. Mm-hmm. And, they feel isolated. These families feel isolated. The homeless feel isolated. And I think what I really want more than anything is for them to not feel so isolated and know that there are actually other people out there that struggle with this. And it's okay. It's okay. There's people out there. You just got to reach out and let people help you. And some people just don't do that. They just don't. Yeah. And I hope.
Well, I mean, even as depicted in the film, she's reluctant to even open the window, right? At the beginning of the film, and then it's her journey to finding greater empathy, because she goes when she goes to look for her husband, she goes, on the film score, on the album, the soundtrack album, we called that track "Into the Void." Because she's going into the underground, into the unknown, where she doesn't know where, the journey that she's about to go on. And so in a way, the film, I would hope, is if you just go in as an audience, you have an emotional experience with it, and you come out with a sense of greater empathy.
Yeah, he hit that on the head, because when I first started this journey, I was scared. I was really scared to approach these people. I didn't know even what to say. And then, you'll see it in the movie. And then I met a precious person, and she plays my Delia. Her name is Cindy Hogan, who does a fantastic job. Everybody is going to love her. Love her.
We have to believe we can make a change, no matter how small. You stop believing in that, you stop living.